I would be willing to bet a dinner at Chili's that they won't.
I'll take the bet.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to start working the phones to get that. Welcome to A Better Conversation, a podcast put on by A Better Dallas. As always, I'm your host, Chris Clement, joined by the man, the myth, the mustache, Mr. Kyle Mason.
Thank you so much. If you're wondering why this beard is growing in, I've been very busy recently, but no need to fear. For this weekend, I will shave, but leave the mustache. So it'll be imprinted. It'll be front and center once again.
I think the beard works. Obviously, I'm a beard fan.
The beard works,
but
yes.
You are the mustache, you
Right.
know? I kind of feel like you're blending a little bit too much.
Yeah. I was trying to hide it for a little bit, but not shaving every other day is nice on the skin. Just constantly hitting with a razor, it gets a little annoying. So, sorry, I kind of get it with the ladies now. They're like, oh, they have to shave all the time. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, but it really is.
Look, when my hair was longer, I get it. Like having to care for your hair. Did not expect that we were going to have grooming to start the podcast.
Yeah.
I wish we were sponsored by Manscaped or Gillette. More probably not Gillette, but like Manscaped or something. But we're not. If you want to, we'll talk more about grooming. But instead, we're going to talk about current events. We're talking about what's going on in Texas. And I think the word of the day is retreat.
Oof.
All right? Retreat. And here's why. One, big time retreat from Texas Democrats.
Yes.
Right? Beating their chests. We're going to sit out. We're not going to let you do this. Yada, yada, yada. And then, okay. They sat out for one session. Greg Abbott called another session, and they're back in Austin. So, big retreat on their part. The other big retreat coming from the Republican Party of Texas, specifically the SREC. And I don't want to say the SREC as a whole, but the crowd within the Republican Party of Texas that were pushing for the Rule 44 censure and removal.
Yep.
And we'll talk about the more specifics, but a couple of big hits to that contingent. So what should we talk about first, Kyle?
Let's talk about the retreat first.
We talked about two retreats.
The Democrats coming back into town.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's kind of, I think it's like one of these things, like they just wore out their welcome in these other places and made Pritzker look like a dumbass for too long. And he's like, I can't take this anymore. Like, please get out of my house. And that's really why they're back. I don't think that they're back because they're disciplined or realize that they've done wrong or anything like that. Just like the first time they were in D.C., Nancy Pelosi was like, all right, this is cute, but you got to go. Pritzker's the same way. And I'm just, next year, the year after, maybe they'll run to California and do the same thing over and over. So,
well, I think some of them did run to California, right? They went to Illinois, they went to California, They went all over the place. But it seemed like every place they went, gerrymandering is worse in that state than what's proposed in Texas. Whoops-a-doodle. And that's something that I had sort of read multiple reports on and multiple different sets of breakdowns, which were actually the Democrats really can't do a whole lot to pick up a bunch of extra seats, or at least this is what I was reading, because so many of their states are already so heavily gerrymandered that there's just not a lot. There's not a lot of meat on that bone if they wanted to try to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we'll have to see if they do anything on that. But getting back to work, that's where they need to be. They need to be in Austin. They need to be doing their job. They need to be taking care of the business that the people of Texas want them to. Again, Governor Abbott called a second special session. So the first special session came and went. Then August 15th, we had the second. I think today was the first day that they really started doing some work. But, moving forward, I think they have until September the 15th or 14th. You have 30 days whenever a special session is called to get your work done. So we'll see, I think, kind of hot and heavy, right? I mean, you would think that things are kind of teed up and ready to go with Republican votes to pass things. So
you would think that they had all this time to be like, man, when they get back into town, we're going to do these things. I'd hope they have something teed up. But
do you think there's any lasting effect about what the Democrats did?
No, not really. I mean, other than a delay of game, which was minimal. Again, it irks me that politics is theater, and I just want people to get to work, just like every other American. Wakes up every day, does their job. You know, the Republicans will say, "Hey, we were in Austin, we were ready to do our job." Sure, but again, there's just a lot of theatrics behind this whole thing. But no, I don't think that there's going to be any lasting effect for any of it, politically or otherwise.
So I want to play a quick game of shoe on the other foot.
Okay.
If the political parties in Texas were reversed and it were the Democrats that were wanting to redraw maps in the middle of in the middle of the census period
Yeah.
to add additional Democrat seats for Congress, what would you want your representative to do to fight that?
What I want. So, yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would probably run to the courts. Is probably would be my pivot if I don't have the votes. I do think a delay of game is somewhat appropriate, but 30 days, 60 days, I think that's a little silly. I would get some kind of judge to do something. I don't know what that is. You can go ahead and fill us in on that if there is anything. That would be first. Second, maybe I missed it. There has been a lot of noise about this, don't get me wrong. But as you had just pointed out, like the noise was almost immediately like, hey, so this whole gerrymandering thing, yeah, these districts now actually look a little bit more like settled. They look a little bit more natural. And also these other states are so jacked up. So if I was on the other foot, I'd make more noise about it.
Yeah. Well, so what I'll have to, I mean, they tried their best, and I'm saying the Democrats, to make as big of a deal out of this as they can.
Yeah.
The problem is, I just don't think most people care. At the end of the day, I think your average voter that's out there
Yeah.
just doesn't care, right?
care.
They understand that gerrymandering happens. They don't like it. They know that it happens.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like who are you going to vote for in November, I just honestly don't think it's an issue that's going to move votes one way or the other. I think it's something you can do to get your base really excited. But here's the other part of it, which kind of is bad for the Democrats. We have another year. We have more than a year left. We have 14 months.
Yeah.
Until we have 15, almost 14 and a half, 15 months until we have another general election.
Yep.
So if you're looking at this gerrymandering issue to be some sort of like rallying cry, I just don't see it. Now, I could be wrong because prophecy is one of the least profitable endeavors, but I just don't see it being something that voters in the November 2026 election are going to get really excited about and vote for Democrats because of the gerrymandering.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be long gone. I mean, it's hard for me to remember what was the big news, last. Well, actually, I do know Epstein, but let's that's a bad example. That's like a mega issue. Maybe like 6 months ago or whatever, right? Like, what was the big issue in February or whatever? I mean, the cycle is so quick that it's gonna be, that's gonna be a little thing that people are gonna bring up, once in a blue moon and be like, oh yeah, and you remember that? Like just a little sprinkle on top of their big point. Yeah, no, it's not really going to move the needle. I mean, as far as though moving votes, it actually literally will move votes as far as Congress goes. So,
hey, did you know of Better Conversations on social media? You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. Following us will not only keep you up to date on our latest podcast drops, but will also keep you informed on current events around DFW, including election news, volunteer opportunities, and social events like late cleanups on Saturday mornings or our happy hours throughout the month where you can meet like-minded people in a fun social setting. You can also meet local politicians and activists that are our guest speakers. Follow the links below to connect.
I kind of actually like this and how we just pushed it. I would like for it not to have been like like not mid cycle, but mid decade. I think we should have maybe stuck to the norm. But I do believe that it is bringing up a very important issue and systemic kind of issue, if that's the right word, is the census. Now
Right.
we're starting to get into the conversation of, hey, this whole census thing, like, what is it? What is the
Right.
purpose of it? How are we doing this? And the lie, I mean, even right now, we're actually the census has been verifiably incorrect, and we have misplaced seats and misplaced electoral college votes. But I am a huge advocate of a social security number at the bottom of the census when you fill that out. Um, and I do think that would actually move a lot of the electoral votes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't studied what it would do to the electoral votes, but from a census standpoint, I don't want the census to be measuring people that are here illegally, right? I mean, because I don't want us to be sitting here as a nation deciding that we're going to plan to spend taxpayer dollars based upon that sort of thing, where it's like, no, we are invested in the people that are here and that are here the right way. Either are natural born citizens, people that have become citizens through immigration, people that have become permanent residents. They have something like those are the people that I want to be recorded and reflected in our census data. Not, hey, yeah, we also have 40 million people here that are not supposed to be here, or whatever the number ends up being.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge.
And look, and if that's something that requires, I've heard all these, oh, it's unconstitutional or this or that, to not count every single man, woman, and child, regardless of their legal status. Maybe that's right. It's not something that I've necessarily studied, but if it is right, well, maybe that should change, right? Maybe that's something that we need to focus on, changing that language, amending the Constitution, amending the, whatever would make that be the requirement.
Absolutely, because that was not a problem when we were settling this country and putting together these pieces. It's a different time. We have different problems, and we need different solutions for today.
And even if it was a problem or not a problem, I just think when you're looking at the best way to organize a society, you shouldn't be planning to spend money and devote resources of taxpayers on people that are here illegally.
Right.
Unless those taxpayer dollars are used for law enforcement to prevent those people from getting here illegally or kindly passing them back to their nation of origin, or some other place that's willing to have them. I mean, this is a thing, there's like almost this, I don't know, like this great manipulation that people on the political left make when it comes to immigration, where they talk about it like you're some sort of morally bereft person to want to comply with the law.
Right.
Or you're somehow ethically defective if you think that people should follow the law. And that is just the weirdest like moral relative manipulation that I think rings so hollow with so many people. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it does. I think the louder people get on that, these like moral high ground points that they're quickly losing. Yeah, I think I think we're past that day and age at this point with the making people feel bad.
Right.
I think that got way overplayed, and then people start looking around each other and was like, "Do you feel bad?" Like, and then like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay, neither do I." And it just the left will have to take another tact. This kind of reminded me of something. It was known as the Doomsday Book. William the Conqueror had taken over England, and he wanted to get an account of everything that was on the island. And so he sent his men about, and this is a very detailed manuscript where they counted chickens at farms, and everything. And of course the local like Anglo-Saxons, they were crying, and because this had never been done, because for the longest time, the kings and whatnot in that area were purposely neglecting to register things in their own census or to pay their taxes, right? It's like leaving income off the table.
Right.
Well, not with this guy, right? And so at that point, you can fully size up the state, the power, and the assets in which you have in the country. And right now, I think that for a long time, we really haven't sized up the country, who's here, what kind of people are here. And when I say that, I mean like what kind of skills does everyone possess? You know, what is their health situation? What's their of course the IRS is really good at finding out people's income, I guess, and then you can argue with them and then they'll find you, but that's fine. But I really do think that we need something like that, and it's not a big ask in the census, in my opinion, to put your social security number on there, what your name is and your address. And of course, if you are an illegal alien, that would be scary. Like,
Right.
I get that.
Well, I mean, look at kind of a recent current event. There was the truck driver, was it in California?
So this guy
Yeah,
snuck across the southern border,
right.
into California, where, love free, right? Everyone's welcome in the state of California because of their laws, right? And because of their employment laws, he gets a CDL license.
Well, hold on. I just want to jump. What I was reading was California laws allow you to get a regular driver's license, but like he should not have been able to get a CDL. Like either he got a CDL through fraud or some sort of administrative issue, but California law should not have allowed him to get a CDL.
Well, nonetheless,
By hook or by crook, he
Right.
had a CDL.
No-
He's driving an 18-wheeler.
he's driving an 18-wheeler, long shot, right? And so he's crossing multiple states, right?
Right.
And this is where we get into like a kind of a states' rights issue, and we're enforcing the law and you're not, and you're creating a problem for us. Created a big problem in Florida for this family that's in a minivan. The guy's driving like he's in Mumbai, right? And just like, oh yeah, this is there's a hole in the fence. This is a perfect spot to make a giant U-turn.
Because,
on
by the
freeway.
way, even though he immigrated through the southern border, he is not from South or Central America.
No,
Right.
no, he's from another continent.
Yes.
In which I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, there are hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people that come from Africa and Central Asia and Mongolia. And I'm like, how do people in Mongolia get here? I want to go check out Mongolia and I can't afford to go there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, so these are people of means that are sneaking in, maybe their whole family pitched. I don't know. But the point being is he had enough resources in his own country to fly across the Pacific Ocean, I'm assuming, right? Land at an airport, probably in northern Mexico, and then sneak across the border into California.
Right.
In which, being an opportunist, somehow got a driver's license, which you're allowed to do. And from there, he leapfrogged into, I can drive a massive truck.
Right.
And I'll get into a little side note about the city of Denton on this one. And so this is it's really a tragedy. And we as Americans got to sit back and watch this happen on a video camera that is watching the drivers. I think it just goes to show about how different we really are as a people in America and how we do like value each other even in life. Because when he makes this U-turn in front of this minivan, the minivan essentially goes underneath.
Right.
And so pretty much decapitating everyone in the vehicle.
Yeah, the three people in there.
Yeah, 2 people died on site, 1 died later at the hospital. And the guy is emotionless.
Right. That's the most chilling part about it, is he looks back and he sees that, and it's like there's nothing there.
Yes, and I think that a lot of people don't understand in other countries, like life just doesn't have any value. Just really doesn't have it. If you go to Southeast Asia, you see families on a motorbike, right? It's a whole family, wife, 2 or 3 kids, and the dad. The only one wearing a helmet is the dad, because if he gets hurt, everyone else is going to starve, right? And so
Right.
they make that calculation, right? No, it doesn't seem like there's any remorse, any problem. And at the end of the day, it's like he's going to go to jail for, in the state of Florida. I mean, he'll probably go to jail forever, but like, is that even justice?
Right.
He's going to get 3 squares a day. the jail is probably going to smell better than where he's from. He's going to be cleaner than where, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he's getting something out of it. And I just, and I have, there's other people too. It's like, oh, well, he's going to serve his sentence and then he'll be deported. And it's like, well, he's probably getting life. So now we have to pay for that. And it's like, can the state even go for the death penalty in Florida?
No.
I don't know. Exactly. So it's like,
Well, because it's not a murder.
it's not a murder, right?
It's vehicular homicide.
right. It was and so
Well, I definitely don't. He's definitely getting punished.
he's
Right?
definitely
Like,
getting punished. He's not
he's
getting
going. He's going to jail. His freedoms are. He's being. He doesn't have his rights. He doesn't have his freedoms. He's locked down. We as a country, recognize that there is value in that. That's happening, and then society is being protected because he's no longer out as a part of society.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like the overarching. It's like when we or people talk about illegal immigration, it's wrapped in this, like you said earlier, of this. Oh, you're a cool individual. Like, no, there is a point that we want to regulate immigration because of integration, because of different cultures, and I'll go back to the city of Denton. The city of Denton, from like 2015 to 2019, we're hiring tons of bus drivers to like open up the DART,
Right.
inner city lines. They started hiring a bunch of people from other countries that had either work visa or whatever, but they were hiring people from other countries. They would train them, they would send them out into the world, and they were getting into a lot of accidents. An investigation was launched. They drive differently where they're from.
Right.
There's not the same courtesies or habits and patterns in North Dallas that there is in India or wherever they're from, right? China, just pick a country where these people are from. And it's like, it's not a racist thing to say. It's just a fundamental thing is like, hey, they just didn't grow up driving around us. We shouldn't let them. And, they changed the standards and a lot of them could not drive anymore.
Right.
And it's like, that's not a racist thing to say. It's like you got to keep those are important things to look at. And so,
Well, it's also that's what you've got driving tests for. That's what you've got supervision for. Like, there's lots of things. It's not saying that somebody from India could never be a bus driver.
no.
It's just saying that there are differences in what the driving rules, what the rules of the road are, what the norms are. And so if you're going to hire somebody with that experience in driving, you need to take whatever appropriate steps to get them up to speed before you just put them out on the road.
Yes. Side note, I would like to see what company had certified this person, because I'm sure they've certified hundreds or thousands of other people. I'd also like to see what this person was getting paid. Okay, if we all remember during COVID, the bus driver or the truck driver craze where they were getting all this money and like,
Yep.
okay, so is he here? And I say it all the time, like, is this guy here taking everyone's job? Are they paying this person less, him filling that seat and shortcutting another American truck driver?
Right.
I'd love to find. I just want to find out. I just want to find out, what is he getting paid to do this job? Right. And going back to states' rights, I won't get on the whole they're taking our jobs thing right now, but going back to the union, right? And we have agreed in this that we're going to enforce the laws fairly close together, right? Like,
Right.
we're going to have our laws, you're going to have our laws, but like in Texas, if you're an illegal alien, you can't get a CDL, right? I mean,
Right.
I guess you could always break the law, but it just seems that like it's so convenient that he's from California. He came into California, he got his driver's license in California, now he has a CDL license, and now he's killing people in Florida. And it's like, at what point, right, just continue this down the road? It's like, if California is just going to keep doing their thing, like with sanctuary cities, at what point is it like, dude, you're so disconnected from us that you're harming us.
Right.
You are physically harming us now. This is not a thing on the spreadsheet. And, oh my God, it's costing so much money and this and that. It's like you are physically harming us. You are killing our family members with decisions and things you're letting happen.
And that's why the Commerce Clause exists.
Dun dun dun.
right? I mean, that's the thing, that if you have interstate commerce, if you have things like that, that can be done. But I mean, that is part of the, I mean, that's part of the trade-off of being in a union of states, right? That's part of the trade-off of having states' rights, is that other states are going to do stuff that you don't like. You know, other states are going to allow abortion when you don't. Other states are going to allow marriages that you don't allow.
Right.
Other states are going to prohibit marriages that you want to allow. You know, like that sort of stuff is going to happen. But that's part of, again, the whole idea behind America, that we are this union of states, we're these laboratories of democracy. But I think that goes back to a bigger question, is sort of, and we've talked about this a lot before, like a loss in a shared sense of values. You know, it used to be that, like, yeah, you know, like the different states might have different like cultural norms and little quirks about how they want to do things, but we all generally want the same thing.
Right.
I think we're getting to the point where more and more, I don't know if you can necessarily say that the state of California wants the same thing the state of Florida does.
No.
That's when you really, you know, I think you have sort of an erosion of your, I guess, connective tissue that makes the country work as a whole.
Yes.
A question that you talked about, you know, hey, I want to know the answers to this, I want to know the answers to that. This is getting back to the whole question about how much do we push on businesses to stop immigration or illegal immigration, right? Like, how much oversight do we want the federal government to have on the day-to-day operations of our businesses to prevent there from being illegal immigration?
Right.
Because, you know, the obvious one is like the E-Verify system, where it's like, okay, well, if you want to hire somebody, they have to pass through E-Verify. But the only way to really make sure that works is if you're actually out there auditing whether or not they're, you know, complying with E-Verify, and you're auditing their financials, or you're sending site visits. I mean, it's sort of one of those things that I think this is where the value balancing is on solving this problem and having federal overreach. Because, like, is there one of the legislative priorities of the Republican Party of Texas this legislative session is ending federal overreach. And so the question is, from an employment standpoint, how much federal reach into private employment decisions do you want to allow?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point and a really great question. I would assume you know what I'm going to say, but
I don't actually.
Okay,
because I do think that this is I do believe you to be a federalist. I do believe you to be you don't want the federal government running everybody's lives. So I think this is a point where well, actually, you're in the Navy, so maybe you're more comfortable with the federal government running your life. But
I was for a little bit, yeah.
You know, I just mean how bad of a job they do, or how great of a job they do, depending on your perspective. I think it is a value clash.
It definitely is, and then if you, I see this a lot too. It's if you're such a, I don't need the federal government for anything, you very quickly become a hypocrite when you need the federal government for, and the federal government does a lot for us, right? I mean, it's grown and grown and grown, and so it's kind of like, I don't like the federal government and this and that, and it's like you're a boomer on Medicaid or Medicare. It's like, well, hold on one second,
right? Pump
the brakes there, guy.
But I also think that that's a great example of something that people have been duped into, right? I mean, I don't think that a requiring everybody to be on Social Security for retirement is a good thing.
I don't either.
Right? Like it's just not. I don't think that Medicare and Medicaid give better healthcare solutions than you would have otherwise.
If you're broke, yes, and mainly about the Social Security, just because, like, you know, you read the articles all the time, like, if you would have invested all that money from Social Security into, you know, a standard CD or whatever, it'd be worth so much more,
right?
And it's like that right there is the dead giveaway of, like, yeah, that's a scam. I mean, and it's a lot of your check too.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, this is my thing about private health insurance. Private health insurance is a for-profit business.
Right.
Which means just because it exists, you know that there is money that is not coming from the patient to the doctor. right? I mean, that's my thing on healthcare is that we have so many things that exist between the doctor getting payment for the services rendered and the patient paying for the services rendered. We have all these hospital, or we have all these, healthcare, all this stuff that happens in between that as a necessity of just having its own employees and offering its own benefit packages and having its own buildings and all that sort of stuff, it has to suck money out of the system. Social Security is the same way. Medicare, Medicaid is the same way. There is an infrastructure that is there that has to be maintained.
Yeah.
And not only do you have the infrastructure that has to be maintained on the government side, but now you are creating a situation where healthcare providers have to have their own in-house infrastructure with regard, like I'm an attorney. I provide services for my client. I send them an invoice. They pay it.
Right.
They don't pay it, or they have a retainer, whatever. If I had somebody walk in the door to pay for my services as an attorney, and you have a constitutional right to access to courts, right? I mean, this is, it's not some sort of like esoteric thing that, oh, you're a lawyer. No, like you have a legal right to access to courts. You may not have a legal right to my services, but you walk in the door to hire me. If I had to, as a business owner and as an attorney, now all of a sudden, well, what kind of legal insurance do you have? And who do I send this off to? And are they going to pay? And how much do I need to overbill so when they cut the bill, they actually pay me what I'm supposed to be paid in the first place? You are creating an entirely separate set of costs that, again, the only revenue here is patients paying premiums or patients paying fees at the doctor.
Right.
So all these systems like Social Security, they all suck money out of the system in between.
I got you. Yeah, there's more overhead.
Right. And really Social Security and Medicare, like Social Security, it just sucks money between past you and future you. Whereas if that money is sitting in a deposit account, well, there's a lot of good that can be done with that money, and you get all this extra interest, and the bank has a bigger deposit base to lend on, and you have a more dynamic economy. There's just better ways for it to work that way than we're going to give it to Uncle Sam, and they're going to Ponzi scheme it because they don't have enough to pay the people that they've already paid into it. But anyway, I think that's called a rant. I think that we went on a rant.
It was a rant.
But
that's fine.
Back to the core question, which was how much federal government do you want involved in your private business employment hiring decisions?
Yes. We have a huge issue right now. So I am okay with, and I am a fan of E-Verify. And a lot of people are afraid of it, and I'm talking about companies are afraid of it. You have very large companies pushing back on it, lobbying against it. So, and it's also, there's lawmakers too that are like, ooh, because they know that we have millions of people working here with false Social Security numbers,
right,
stolen identities, or they just change name and Social Security number every year. Right.
Brother, I used to see that happen all the time when I was in banking.
Yes.
When I worked for one financial institution, which shall go unnamed, and I don't think it's not unique to this institution, but we'd have people that would come in and attempt to open bank accounts, and you go to run their information to open the bank account, and it's like, that's not you.
Right.
Like, this ID is not you. Or you would get the ID itself and be like, that's not real.
That's not a real ID.
Like paper, that. Legitimately, that would happen.
Right,
once a week.
Yeah, and and I've thought a lot about this. I'm not totally against it, but we at least have to get a count of how many people are here, and we have to at least know the problem before we can address the problem. And so the E-Verify thing, it has holes, but
what about the enforcement? Because that's my question on E-Verify.
The enforcement would be very easy. I think that you could do it. I think that, yes, you'd have inspectors and whatnot, but I think that you fine the companies big time. And I think that actually would draw, even just the threats of it, I think that that would fix a lot of the issues. And because this Trump is giving up on the illegal immigration thing, and it's all just for show. So like Alligator Alcatraz, I don't think they're going to actually really use that for much. They took some photos for it. There will be some people there. They're building a big one out in Keeling, Texas, or whatever fort that is now, or whatever they call it now. I don't really see this going, and it's just a campaign promise. It's not going to happen. But I think that if you laid in, the people wouldn't come here if they didn't believe they have the opportunity to get jobs, right? And you have said, hey, we need them for the workforce for this and that. I agree, right? They're an integrated part of our workforce. And I'd like for them to be here and not having to steal people's identities and things of that nature. But we got to know who's here to address the problem and then find an actual good solution to it. But mainly it would be the companies. They're the point of contact of, hey, meatpacking factory that we raided in Nebraska. What the hell?
Right.
Like, what you're telling me that your HR is so oblivious to that everyone in this factory is illegal immigrant who doesn't really speak too much English. You're paying them under wages compared to other packing factories. And lo and behold, the next day, the lobby is filled with Americans looking for a job. It's so, it's so obvious what was going on, and I really do think that that company should be fined very, 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 very heavily.
So heavily that it goes out of business?
It won't. It won't.
Well, I'm just like, I don't know. I think this
It won't. It's a Fortune 500 company.
Well, I mean, this is where I just go back to the issue that I worry about with E-Verify is just the enforcement of it, because it's just like the amount of money to be gained by underpaying for labor,
Right.
is usually significant, especially for a company like that.
Sure.
And so then the question is like, okay, well, how big does the fine need to be to
Sure.
disincentivize them from acting that way? But if the fine is significant enough that it causes them to not be in business, then you're not really creating jobs. It's just sort of like, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's
Right,
just working
right.
with mercury, right?
Right.
Like there's this very narrow strip where it's like this actually does dissuade them,
Sure.
as opposed to like speeding on the tollway. I had a friend who she used to drive as fast as she wanted on the Dallas North Tollway, and she would get the occasional speeding ticket.
Yeah.
And she said, I just think about it as a fee I pay to drive as fast as I want to.
Yeah.
And that's how she thought about it.
But you only do that so many times till they arrest you, right? Like you in a certain amount of time. I have a buddy that does that with his registration. He's like, I've been riding dirty for 3 years.
Right.
And if I get pulled at this point, I'll get my money back. Like I'm over
Yeah.
on the state. I'm playing with house's money now. I'm just like, dude, that's nuts.
Well, but that's like rational risk taking behavior. And I think the same thing from a business standpoint. One of the things that I learned in law school, and this wasn't meant to be like you should do it this way, but like, look,
Right.
there's a difference between the law and there's a difference between how you run your business.
Right.
Because sometimes it makes business sense to not follow the rules and just pay whatever the fine is.
And just pay whatever fine is.
Pay whatever the fine is, or we see large financial institutions do this all the time.
Oh yeah.
They'll break the rules, they'll make $1 bajillion, and they'll pay whatever $100 million settlement. And to the rest of us, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a huge fine they're having to pay. And for them, it's like
They're laughing.
speed bump money, baby. Like
Right.
we're making so much cash off of this thing that it didn't even matter.
And it's sick because like that they had that calculated. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, we'll pay this much, a little ticky tack.
Right. They probably paid some lawyer $1,200 an hour to figure that out for them. Hey, here's what it is. Here's what your regulatory compliance would cost you. Here's how much you'd save not doing it, or make these loans without whatever you need. And
Yeah.
You'll make so much money that if you do get caught, and if they decide to take it seriously, don't worry, you've made your money on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how all that comes to be. I mean, lawmakers obviously, and then of course they're people. They, they're influenced by other things. I'm sure there's lobbyists and things like that involved. But I mean, the lawmakers would have to come up with a balanced system. I'm not saying that, hey, if you purposely employ an illegal alien, like, we're taking your children or something like that. But
Right.
it does. There is almost no enforcement at this point. It's a known.
I'm sure there's
fact.
Democrats that think that that's already what Trump's doing, right?
Yes, yeah, they think that absolutely. And just so everyone knows, if you're a legal alien and you get deported, your children can stay. You just have to give them to a caretaker. If you don't have one, then they get turned over to state, or you can take them with you. So that's actually what's been happening. But yeah, I mean, there has to be some kind of balance. It's just an openly known fact that it's like, I go back to the meat packing. You got 5 big meat packers. It's a monopoly. The pressure, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but at the same time, it's like they use that and then they hire illegal aliens to fill their void, right? And it's just like, we're cooked. That's it. We're cooked. Like I'm becoming more and more black-pilled as time rolls on.
You know what? You use that word. I think it's a good segue because I'd like to talk about that word. Like, you black-pilled.
Good.
For our audience, what does that mean?
Black pill, there is a series of pills, and this goes back to the Matrix, take the red, blue pill, yada, yada, yada. Black pill means that you are intaking so much negativity and you are interpreting it as such that there is no hope, there is no future, all is lost.
So nihilism.
Nihilism, I don't mean it literally because I'm not all is lost. In the end, we win, but it's just like, that's how I do feel in this current cycle that we're in, especially from where we were, and the ideals and hope that we had on election night. So
that's interesting. So you talked about, so you talked about the Trump immigration deportation stuff as, sort of in negative terms.
Yeah.
Is that how you view the overall immigration policy of the Trump administration, is that it is a broken promise?
Yes. As a broken promise. I mean, there's nothing to indicate that it's really not. If the trend continues, and again, he could break the trend, I don't see anything that would indicate that he's going to break this trend. Barack Obama is going to end up deporting more people than this guy. And one of his biggest things is we're going to deport X amount of million people, whatever, how many ever it was on the stage from different time to time, right? And it's not anywhere near that. And then people, especially, always Trumpers, they'll be like, well, no, he said, then he said the worst first. And it's like, okay, are we going to literally find every single known criminal legal alien? And then when there's none left, like literally every single one, then we'll start going down other roads, like forcing work standards and things like that. People see a lot of this stuff on the news of like them jumping out of the truck at Home Depot and whatnot. Right. It is all for show. Those numbers are nothing. They're nothing. They pretty much gave up in February. I mean, they pretty much gave up in February. The whole thing about LA and the riots, and I'm going to send the National Guard, and so ICE can drive around and enforce. Yeah, they scared a bunch of people. Sure, the presence was hurt, but the numbers, the actual numbers of not only deportations, but arrests, right? Because they arrest people, then they hold them, and then they'll deport them. So those two numbers can be like different, right? And if you really look at the deportation number, they suck. But then also the arrest numbers are just incredibly low.
Compared to what?
Well, just compared to Barack Obama, I go back to him because he ended up deporting several million people. in his stay, right? And he did that under the guise of like, hey, you have to come here legally, and they wanted a closed border, and that was part of Bernie Sanders' pitch too, is like, hey, we need to protect the American workers. And this is also like, hey, these people are in a way like taking blue collared, I hate using the word uneducated, but non-degree holding jobs.
Well, you can say uneducated. I mean, educated versus uneducated doesn't have to be some sort of like
negative
moral
connotation.
equivalence.
I know, but non-diploma holding job, the illegal aliens are taking them, and that was negatively hurting the black community, or at least that was the pitch that he was doing. And so to do that, they were deporting a lot of people. The numbers have not really been too official as far as like what ICE has been putting out.
Right.
It's like I also see people, oh, well, he's going to wait till after the midterm, and it's like we just got done talking about like the midterms are a good ways away, and that's not him not deporting people is not going to have a positive impact. I guess they're really worried, and I said this from the beginning. I don't think the American people, like, really by and large can handle the millions of people that actually would need to leave. At least people that came to this country from January 20th, 2021 to now. I mean, that's several million people that purposely came into this country, under the under administration that was simply just trying to flood the zone.
And see, that's why I have a different perspective.
Sure.
Because I have a different benchmark, right? So my benchmark is, well, one, overall immigration policy, we have much better control over our southern border.
Yes, we do. 100%.
Right?
That is his one shining light.
That's a big win. I mean, and the thing is, like that, I don't think that's something that's an insignificant win.
No.
Like, that's a big win.
Compared to where it was, yes.
That's right. But that's what we have, right?
Yeah.
Because what we were facing was Kamala, right?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like we were facing a Democrat candidate that was going to go back to Obama. I mean, look, if Obama was president now, Obama wouldn't be doing Obama immigration, right?
No, he wouldn't. He would
Right.
have
So
to
it's
back
like,
off that
so
too.
the fact
Yeah.
that we have control over the southern border again, I consider to be a massive win.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the deportation, like, I'm glad that Trump isn't deporting people in the numbers that he said, because he hasn't made the case to the American public to do that. Right? I mean, we looked at the numbers before. We looked at the polling on one of our podcasts before on what Americans think about deportation. Deporting illegal, like, criminals, people that are here and are committing crimes, like,
Right.
80 some odd % of Americans agree, yeah, deport those people.
Sure.
But the next closest one was like, are they working? And that was like barely over 50%.
Hey, still over 50.
Right, but my point is like, I don't want, like, this is what Reagan did that was so great. This is what Lincoln did that was so great. You would go out and you would make the case to the American people, and you would convince them before you enacted the legislation, and not the other way around. You don't enact the legislation and then go try to convince people it's a good thing. So if you want to make the case, if you want to deport millions of people like you're talking about, then you've got to go make that pitch to the American people, and you've got to sell them on it.
Yeah.
But until you sell them on it, I don't think that you should be taking a position like that that's so unpopular.
Well, I feel like he did that during his campaign. He had a 2-year campaign cycle of
Didn't accomplish it based on the poll numbers.
We're going to deport millions of people. And that
Right.
was not like a hidden fact. That was not some serious plan. That was out and center. And in fact, his head would have gotten blown off if he hadn't looked over at the immigration numbers.
Right, but just because he gets elected doesn't mean that a majority of Americans agree with everything that he's talking about on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
It's that enough people agree with enough of the things that he's talking about to elect him.
Sure.
But when you actually get into office and you see, oh, this particular policy is not all that popular, it's like, I would say that a great example of this, and I would say done the right way from a political and a whatever, is Obama's switch on gay marriage, right? When Obama was first running for office, he was against gay marriage, right? Marriage is between a man and a woman. And over the years, public sentiment shifted. It shifted to the left to where a majority of Americans were then in support of gay marriage or allowing gay marriage. And then he got to do the thing that he probably wanted to do the whole time. And I think that's the thing with Trump and the immigration thing is like, I think what he's done so far has been a success. I think closing down the border or taking control over the border, and I think taking public action of getting rid of violent criminals and targeting the gangs and trying to get them out and trying to deport them and do that stuff, those are all wins because it is making America safer than it would have been otherwise. And it's doing so in a way that the public supports.
Yeah, but it's like such an obvious, we need to deport the criminals that are criminals in other countries. It's like, yeah, duh. Like, hello.
But
yeah,
we weren't doing that before.
Right. I know,
so
but
we are.
we can't keep comparing this Republican Trump administration to people that were actually like literally trying to destroy America and
I
trying
think
to rebuild it in their image. They wanted to flood the zone, and that's why we need to get those people out of it. Those people came over here because of those people were letting them because they wanted to fundamentally change America.
And I think that's why that is what we have to compare it to. Because our choices are not between
but they're here now and we're not going to get rid of them.
No, but you're missing my point.
No, I hear your point. I hear your point, but
benchmarking.
Fundamentally, like the actual fact is those people are here.
Right.
They came here. They're staying here.
Right.
And we're just going to let them stay here because what? We had an election.
Because we don't have the resources or the manpower or the public desire to get rid of them.
We have the resources.
We don't.
We have the resources.
Where?
ICE. We also have the National Guard.
Right,
but we also have an Air Force.
When have we ever activated the National Guard to perform deportations?
We've never had 20 million people in the country. So this is an unprecedented moment. But and also
which means you have to win the battle of public opinion.
We did. There was an election.
No, that's the public opinion is not in favor of that particular policy.
But if you're saying that politicians can only make a move on something when they have 51% or more of on something, that's not good governance.
No, it's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying on this particular issue, if you're going to take unprecedented action, before you take the unprecedented action, you do need to win the public sentiment that it's worthwhile doing. There's going to be certain things that are not going to be popular that you have to do, right? But we're talking about sort of extreme types of measures when you're getting to that point, or constitutional measures when you're getting to that point. But if you're talking about a policy of like, okay, we are going to be doing deportations.
Right.
How far do we go into deporting the people that are here illegally? If you're talking about the need of activating the National Guard or the Air Force or the military, which is an unprecedented move, then I think that rightfully there is a higher standard if you're going to do that than just, well, he won the election, so if he wants to do it, he can do it.
Okay. Well, don't activate the Air Force then. I mean, it's you have ICE and Border Patrol agents that have the authority. If you come into the country, it is a felony if you do not come through a port of entry and claim asylum.
I'm with you.
And we have 10 million at least people that have done that in the last 4 years.
Right.
So the whole standard of like, and about the border, like it's a great job that he locked it down. That's great. But like, countries have been enforcing their borders for thousands of years. It's new to America, like the idea that we can like enforce our border. It's new to America, but like if you look down time, it's really not that big of a deal of like, hey, yeah, this is our border and we're enforcing it, and like you can't come in here. You can come in here. We have a trade agreement or something. So yes, good job that he did that, but really that's just like a normal thing for a country to enforce the border.
Well, tell that to Europe. Tell that to the last 4 years. I mean, I get you.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, you do have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I just
even
said
if
he
it's
did.
just a common, even
yes.
if it's a thing that should be commonplace,
Yeah,
it wasn't. It is now. We are in a better position than we would have been
we
otherwise.
are in a better position. Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and this is my question. When I get back to resources,
Yeah.
how many field agents do we have in ICE right now? How many field agents do we have with Border Patrol right now?
Right.
And how many millions of people are there that are here illegally to be deported?
Right. And actually, we did activate the National Guard for the border. They're on the border right now.
To protect the border, but
so-
not to go
right.
carry out deportations,
Right.
which is what I'm talking about.
Right. So there was a precedent for it. So,
No, there's precedent for the National Guard protecting the border.
right.
Yeah.
Right. But my point is he can do that. There are, I mean, I guess I could just look it up how many agents there are, how many ICE agents there are and everything. Let's see. Okay, so there's over 20 there's like 10,000 actual field officers, right? And that number is growing.
And there are 19,000 roughly Border Patrol agents,
Okay.
not including total Customs and Border Patrol is 64,000 personnel,
Right.
but that's
a lot. That's like people at the airport, people
Right.
checking packages, all kinds of things. Now, Border Patrol does have the authority to arrest anyone pretty much anywhere.
right.
If you're an illegal alien. Now, but this also, you really wouldn't need, you don't need I mean, if you just had local police, and this is part of the problem, we go back to the California thing and the sanctuary cities, it's like we have police officers that are interacting with illegal aliens all the time.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you're an illegal alien, and then they let them go. And it's like, that's their policy. But you wouldn't need that. Just like in the jails, in the state jails, there's illegal aliens in the state jail. Depending on what their crime is, they could be turned over.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's silly. Obviously, they're, if you're an illegal immigrant and you get caught, right? You commit some crime, the police catch you, it's found that you're an illegal immigrant. I think it is beyond common sense that obviously, okay, sorry, you're caught, you're being deported.
right.
Right. I mean, I don't see that necessarily as like an active. My thing with like carrying out the sort of mass deportations that you're talking about is I don't think that you can sit there and deport tens of millions of people with 20,000 agents.
No, I mean, it would take time, but the fact that they're not even engaging in it, they're not engaging in any maxing out the resources they have at the moment. There was a really rich article I saw the White House post. It was like, deportation flights are at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. Great headline, right? Awesome. The plane has like 20 people on it. Okay, the plane is meant to have like 250. Right? And so they're purposely misleading the country, the base, the people they voted for. And, everyone's underneath there. I voted for this. Great. You're being played. And that's just the truth of it. I mean, this whole thing, he's not really into it. I think some of the people around him are, but I think that there's a lot of lobbyists that go into it. They don't want their worker base being deported. And you can see it. He's like, well, we need to give cutouts to, this industry and that industry and this industry. And it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it really doesn't matter. Everyone can come here and you can get a CDL license and take your truck for a spin, or you can overstay your H-1B visa and take someone's job that just got out of engineering school. So,
well, but I think that's where you have to look at what's happened at the border as a success, right? Because you are stopping people from coming across the border
right.
at such high numbers.
But what about the people that are here?
Right.
I get the border is awesome. I get it. The border is awesome, dude. It's a party down there. They're chilling. They got everything locked down. There are millions and millions of people that are here that came here maliciously.
I wouldn't say they came here
They
maliciously.
knew they could come here and
They
take
came here
advantage of our
illegally.
system. They knew they
Right.
could come here and take advantage of our system. Now, they might have said, "Oh, it's a better opportunity over here." You could say it
Right.
like that, but they knew if they come here, they had, like, let's just say access to healthcare, meaning they could walk into the ER and they could sit there long enough and they get free Tylenol.
Right.
While Americans don't do that and they have to go to the store and pay for it over the counter. That's taking advantage of our system, which I will say looks like the ER wait times are way down.
Right.
So that's great. But, and they're clogging up our system, and Americans aren't getting good access to them. And then they don't pay any of the bills. They don't pay any of the bills to the hospitals. That's just a little aside.
Right.
But the point is, they're here.
Yeah.
They're still taking advantage of our system. And the fact that it's like every time this conversation comes up, not with you, but I just see it in general of like, oh, it's like, hey, so like what's going on with the deportations? Like what's going on with this? Well, the border is awesome. And it's like, yes, the border is cool. Thank you. Like, good job. Seriously. You said you were going to secure the border, and he did kind of do that on like day one.
Right.
Right. That was like a day one thing he really did do, and the Border Patrol was really ready to rock and roll with that. But now it's like all silent, on the front with deporting people. I mean, there's only so many criminals that you're going to be able to grab that have come across. And after that, I don't know what ICE and the Border Patrol is going to do, because it really doesn't seem like this administration has any want at this point to do the things that they said they're going to do. Like, I don't think they're going to hit a million. They're not even going to hit a million.
So I think you are correct when it comes to mass deportations. I don't think, in all honesty, that Trump ever planned on doing mass deportations. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't believe that during his candidacy, that that's what he was wanting to do. I think it was a good cry to make it at events.
No.
But, I think if Trump is going to have mass deportations, it's not going to be through law enforcement. If Trump's going to have mass deportations, it's going to be by doing stuff like E-Verify.
Right.
It's going to be by doing things where people self-deport out of the country.
Which is totally cool if that's the track they're trying to take, which it does look like that's what they're trying to make it hard or uncomfortable. Right. I totally get that. So like you said, you saw through the fog. For the millions of people that didn't see through Trump's rhetoric, I mean, do we just not hold him to account? Do we keep going out there and cheering for him? Do we keep covering for him? Do we keep? I mean, it's like.
Well, my thing is like, it just was never like, and we're disagreeing on this. It was never possible.
It is.
It
possible.
was never. It was never possible to have the political capital to go in during the administration and deport tens of millions of people through law enforcement.
How about just 1 million?
Under what period? Over what period of time?
You pick.
Over 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Doable. I think
Sure.
Obama got 3.2.
Yeah.
Now, but those numbers are a little misleading too, I will say, because I think that they were also counting turnarounds
Right.
in there. So there's that as well. And a turnaround can easily just the next day find another hole in the fence. But
so yeah, I mean,
but
Obama's numbers were inflated,
Right.
but that's fine. I'm just saying the reason I don't think it's possible to deport tens of millions of people, like the sort of mass deportations that were being discussed, like I think it's possible to have tens of millions of people that are here illegally leave the country during the administration. Mm-hmm. But as far as having ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, local law enforcement, National Guard, whatever, the reason it's not possible is because there's just not the public will to do it.
Right.
And you have to have political capital to get things accomplished. So if Trump sits there with the optics, if he is sending out law enforcement to forcibly deport, let's say if you want 10 million over the course of the administration,
right,
2.5 million people this year, they're not happen in the midterms, right? That would become a losing issue in the midterms because the public sentiment isn't there.
Do you think what he did in California was popular with ICE, the Border Patrol?
with ICE and Border Patrol.
Right, where they were getting attacked by people, and there was like it was like a mini riot. Do you think that gave him like a boost, I guess, in the polls, or no?
I don't think it had an effect on the polls.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it moved. I mean, I
Yeah.
know he's underwater in the polls,
Right.
but I don't think it moved the numbers.
Right. So it wasn't like a huge negative thing.
But if that kept happening for a whole year, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? That's the political calculus that he made.
Yeah. Well,
Because if that's happening constantly all year, then that is going to have an effect on your polls.
yeah. I don't care how this immigration issue is fixed, right? I mean, there's so many things in this country. It's like, oh, there's not the political capital for this or that, and they're massive issues. They're shotgun barrels at our head, and our leadership doesn't want to address it. So once they pass away, then we'll be left holding the bag.
Right.
And that's really exciting, right? Because I want more problems. Like, give me more problems.
Well, we're always going to have problems.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like if he goes and makes it more uncomfortable and people want to self-deport and everything, and Americans are put first, that's fine. But I'm not going to let off the fact that Trump has made a lot of promises, and he's just simply not following through with them. If you want to say, oh, he's going to make... and I've heard this before too. They got not Nikki Haley. What's her name? Head of ICE. Anyways, she got the blowout, heavy makeup. Kristi Noem. She's, hey, we'll pay you $1,000 in a flight home to leave, and it's like, who is going to take you up on that? Okay, I mean, you go and like if you $1,000. Are you serious? You can go to the hospital once a month, and you're going to be well over $1,000, lady. Like. It's a joke, and again, it's a ploy. I think and it's, but he's just not going to follow through on it, and that's why I'm black-pilled, and I'm perfectly comfortable saying that. I'm perfectly comfortable saying like, I gave him a pass on his first term just because of like all of the impeachments and this and that. I think that we really don't have a choice. We have to just kind of push forward with what we got, and maybe something really cool comes out of this, like a new wave of leadership, and not just one person, but kind of a whole team of people. But so far, and I really hope I'm wrong. Like, I really hope that I'm wrong, and I'm gonna look back and be like, I was such an idiot. I should have trusted the plan. I should have done this, shouldn't have done that. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't. I think at the end of the day, Trump is just going to keep talking about tariff and how much money he's making on tariffs. And he's making, by the way, he'll say he's making on tariffs. It's his money he's making on tariffs. And some kind of nebulous trade deal about how South Korea is going to buy $2 billion worth of stuff. And it's not specific, and they're already buying $2 billion worth of stuff. So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, is this a circus or something for you? Like, I can't wait to see your dining hall sticking out of the side of the White House. I'm really excited about seeing that.
So I've been told by friends, or more acquaintances than friends, that like there are party drugs like Molly and stuff like that.
Okay, what?
We'll get there. Hold on. Give me a little bit of runway here.
Okay.
Where you take it and you go to the party and you just have a euphoric time. Right. You're having the best time. But the way the drug works is it burns through all of your serotonin or whatever the feel-good chemical is.
Sure.
So the next day you wake up and it's worse than a hangover. All the good feeling is drained out of your body.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's happened to you. I, on the other hand, would say that I'm not
doing drugs.
I'm not black-pilled, but I've been gray-pilled for like 20 years of politics.
Okay.
To where it's like, Trump's first administration, it took him 2 years and getting guilted by Ann Coulter and Bannon to even put forward a budget proposal about building any wall.
Yes.
Right. And he waited until the Democrats were in charge of I think they were in charge of Capitol Hill as a whole.
Congress and Senate, yeah.
Before he did that. And then we had the shutdown.
Right. And of course, it wasn't going to happen. That's why he decided to,
right.
to do
and so, like,
something.
I mean, I remember during Trump's first administration having a conversation with a coworker at the time. And she was super excited about Trump. And she was super excited about building the wall. And I'm like, he's not going to build the wall. Like, it's an impossible thing.
Right.
You're not going to build a wall from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific, and you're not going to get Mexico to pay for it. And part of it is because practical reasons we've talked about. There's big portions of the border where, like,
you don't need it.
You just can't build it. Like,
Right.
even if you wanted to, you can't build it.
Yeah. I mean,
And so it's just like one of those things that with Trump, it's like, look, man, the
could build it.
guy's whole life has been hyperbole.
Yeah.
His whole, like, there's literally a phrase in law called puffery, where it's not fraud. You're not lying about the product.
Right.
It's just puffery about the product.
Yes.
And I mean, Trump is the king of that line between puffery and fraud. And he has been for his whole career. And I'm not calling him a fraud, and I'm not trying to be pejorative, but I'm just literally saying,
Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten busted for saying some things and doing some things. And,
Sure.
you know, maybe he hasn't always been the most faithful to his wives. And when a guy like that gets on the campaign trail, and, you know, we have people like that in the state of Texas, they say real big things.
Right.
They have no chance of ever actually doing.
Sure.
And I think I just have that assumption about everybody. I don't,
Yeah.
and maybe it's even worse than being black-pilled, because it's just like a little bit of like
No.
being dead on the inside about
Yeah.
politics, where it's like, man, do you remember what my hope was for the start of the Trump administration? What I desperately wanted? I just wanted boring competence.
Oh yeah.
If I could just get boring competence, I would have been so excited. I just, yeah.
Okay.
It's just like Social Security. It's like our entitlement programs. We all know they're going to ruin our country at some point. We all know they're absolutely destroying our budget, right? Like, we know that.
Massey's not afraid.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows it.
No one's going to do anything about it.
No one's doing anything about it.
Because we have a system where you have to win every 2, 4, 6 years. And so you're not necessarily, unless you are a really amazing, virtuous person, you just don't have an incentive to solve a 10-year problem on a 2-year term.
I feel like some people, I feel like the Texas legislator, they've solved some problems. Not as big as Social Security, so I'm not trying to make that claim, but I feel like when they get together and the Democrats decide to show up, that they solve some big issues that are like long-term issues. The one thing that comes to mind is like the water.
Right.
Like, they're deciding to buy a bunch of land from people, build dams, clear it out, like, and to build water for 20, 30 years from now. It's like they're planting trees that they're never going to sit under the shade. And it's like that right there, that gets me excited. I think that takes a special kind of person to do that, to have that forethought, and to, like, it's not the most popular thing. I mean, we are lucky to have such a surplus, so that was kind of easier. It makes it easier. There wasn't it's like, okay, well, either we're going to cut this or this, and we got to build the dams, but it's like we had the surplus. So, but it does take some thought, rather than, hey, you know what, we have this program, we have this problem that we can throw some money at, and maybe that makes me look better. No, let's go build some dams. Let's go get some water.
Well, I would argue in part that you have gerrymandering to thank for that. Right? Because in the state of Texas, look, the difference between politics on a national level and politics in Texas is, when's the last time a Democrat won a statewide race in Texas?
I do know this. Wasn't it senator, right? was the last one.
If it was, and it might have been a senator, but if it was Phil Gramm,
LBJ.
oh, at the very least it was Ann Richards
Yeah.
for governor because Bush beat her.
Yes.
Maybe Phil Gramm won as a Democrat, as a senator, but he switched parties to become a Republican.
Oh.
So it's just like Texas. Look, Texas is Texas has been a red state for a long time. If you're the governor, you don't really have to worry about the general election. If you're the lieutenant governor, you don't really have to worry about the general election. And if you're in the state house, most of your seats are general proof.
Yeah.
Most of your seats are safe. Texas is going to have a majority in the House and in the Senate. And they're going to have the governor's mansion and the lieutenant governor's mansion. They've had it for 20 years. Probably more than 20 years now, 25, 30 years.
So your point is that like it's a secure spot that like once they have it, they feel like they can go out on a limb on certain maybe they don't have 50%
right
public support.
No, it's not that it's that, but no, it's just the difference that like they can solve long-term problems.
Sure.
Because if you polled Texans, like, yes, water infrastructure, you are going to have a majority of Texans that want it. Where in Texas, some electeds are allowed to go out on a limb or to not, is because of the majority. So it's like, let's say you're building dams.
Sure.
You need to build more reservoirs.
Yep.
Other than the places where those reservoirs are going to be built, that's going to be a popular project. But in the parts of the state where land is going to be taken and total areas are going to be destroyed and completely redone to build these reservoirs, it's going to be incredibly unpopular.
Yes, that has been incredibly unpopular to a lot of landowners.
But what you can do if you're a Republican in Texas is you can vote against that project. If you're the House rep from that area or the House reps from that area or the state senator from that area, you have the luxury of voting against that bill and going back to your constituents and say, I opposed it, I fought for you, but unfortunately, the rest of the state outvoted me and this is going into place. On the national level, you don't have consistent control of Congress, you don't have consistent control of the Senate, and you don't have consistent control of the executive. And so therefore, on a national level, your decision-making becomes greatly shrunk.
I mean, all that definitely makes sense, and that is true and we hear about that, especially like when you're talking about China,
right? And
they have a very consistent power structure there, right? And it's like they can do 100 years planning. They can do those kind of like long term, like super long-term projects, I joke, but it's like it kind of is one of the issues with the representative republic and the constant news cycle and this and that. And that's why, like, when I play video games, when I play map games, I am never ever playing a democracy. I am a dictator or I am a king or something like that. I'm a monarchy, because when you play these video games, it's like it's incredibly hard to get anything done because you're constantly having to zig and zag and please everybody, and you're getting absolutely nothing done, and then you get overtaken.
And this is why, going back to the point we were talking about before, I am so concerned with public opinion on policy decisions on the national basis. Because I want, as a Republican, to hold Congress and the Senate and the White House for as long as we can, because the longer that we hold those things, the more that we're able to implement the policies that we want. And we can do so incrementally instead of doing so dramatically. I mean, it was one of those things, like, again, it's for the Democrats. It's the difference between Obamacare and gay rights. Democrats chipped away at gay rights for a long time. It finally won public and popular opinion, and then were able to put it in place, and it stayed. They never did that with Obamacare, and it was incredibly unpopular, and it cost them. And it put them further away than they had been otherwise to having their ultimate goal, which is single payer, nationalized healthcare. So that's the reason that I care about making the case before you enact the policy on certain things like that. Like you got to get the public on your side first. Speaking of public on your side and failing to make the argument, we talked about retreat. Well, we've talked about the Dems in the Texas House one. Second retreat was from the people within the state of Texas, the Republican Party of Texas or otherwise, that were pushing for Rule 44 censures and removing the rhinos from the ballot.
Yeah.
So for those of you that aren't aware, the Republican Party of Texas has Rule 44 as part of its official rules. That's the censure rule. And it's censure, C-E-N-S-U-R-E, not censor. The censure rule is essentially your punishment rule for elected officials. If they do something that you don't like, their constituents in the county and then ultimately in the state have the ability to punish them. You did X, Y, and Z. We didn't like it. It violated the rules. It violated the legislative priorities. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed the party. You committed a criminal activity. We're punishing you. Historically, if you were censured before this last couple of years, the punishment was, a strongly worded resolution.
Yep.
Maybe there's a pledge to go find a primary opponent, or that you won't be financially supported by the party, things along those lines. Back when I feel like we had a little bit more of a respectable society, if you were censured in a way like that, one, the party had a really good reason for doing it, and it was so embarrassing that it actually did have the effect of having people just resigning. I'm not seeking re-election, what have you.
Right.
Well, coming off the heels of the Paxton impeachment in 2023, in 2023, where a number of Republicans in the House or the Texas House voted in favor of articles of impeachment or impeachment of then or still AG Paxton. When that happened, the following primary, a number of those elected officials were challenged in the primaries. A bunch of the Republicans, if not all of the Republicans that voted to impeach Paxton, faced primary opponents. Unfortunately, the primary opponents didn't do so great. So you still have all of these people in the Texas House right now that voted to impeach Paxton.
Yep.
And you have a lane of the Republican Party that are still very upset about that. So last year during the state convention, they put together Rule 44, or they changed Rule 44. And the way they changed it was to add an additional penalty. This penalty is, we're going to kick you off of the future ballot, which means if you are a Republican office holder and you get censured, we are going to prevent you from running as a Republican in the next election. The voters didn't give us what we wanted, so we're just, as state party officials, going to just decide that you can't be a Republican anymore. All of this happened at convention, and they were working through the process of doing this. In Dallas, you saw censure resolutions passed for Angie Chin Button and Morgan Meyer. You saw censure resolutions passed in Tarrant County for some of their reps. And originally, the big push for censorship was, well, you didn't vote for the right person at the House Speaker race. At the beginning of every Texas legislative session, the Speaker of the House is elected by the legislatures. The big race this last time ultimately came down to David Cook, a Republican from Mansfield, and Dustin Burrows, a Republican from Lubbock. David Cook was seen as more of the Paxton, Patrick, right wing of the Republican Party candidate. Dustin Burrows was seen as more of he was seen to the left of that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Dustin Burrows and his coalition prevailed, and he was the speaker, to the chagrin of the Republican Party of Texas and its executive committee and places all over the state. So chugging along, we're going to do this Rule 44. We're going to censure you. Well, 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was an op-ed in the Dallas Morning News written by Shelby Williams of Collin County, pointing out that this was happening and putting it out there in the general public that, hey, you have members of the Republican Party of Texas that are looking to keep these people from running, taking your ability to vote for your elected official away as a Republican. You as the voter in a primary should have the right to be able to make that choice.
Yes.
There was much gnashing of teeth after the op-ed, but it started getting more attention from other media sources. Well, Trump came through and made his endorsements and endorsed almost all of the elected officials that were being targeted, if not all of them, that were being targeted for censure.
Oh boy.
Right? Because Trump's deal was, if you voted for school choice, you have my endorsement. So now we have all of these people are endorsed by Trump.
Yep.
But you have a lane of the Republican Party that is wanting to kick them off the Republican ballot. So the media starts picking up the story is an attack on Trump-endorsed candidates. Things get a little trickier. Then the Republican Party of Texas's SREC, they have a special legislative priority task force. And that legislative priority task force was tasked with promoting the legislative priorities, but then after the session was done, for basically given a vote count. Here are the votes where an elected official voted against our legislative priorities. Here are the bills that promoted our legislative priorities. Initially, about a week ago, there was a preliminary report released by the task force and being presented to the SREC as a whole. That initial preliminary report called for the censure of 41 elected Republicans in the House and the Senate, ranging from not letting bills get out of committee to voting to call for a vote on a rules package to vote. One of them, so Dade Phelan, and this was probably my favorite one, Dade Phelan was, they considered Dade Phelan, he voted on the second vote against a bill, and they considered that to be a censurable act, even though he voted in favor of the bill on the third vote and the bill passed.
Yeah.
So a whole variety of alleged evils were on this list. Well, then over the weekend, a story broke that a brand new big donor from Amarillo, Fairleigh, had pledged that he was going to handle the litigation costs, the legal expenses, for challenging any attempt to keep an elected Republican off the ballot. Essentially, if they were censured and they were not allowed to run and they wanted to file a lawsuit challenging that this guy was at least in part going to help foot the bill.
Yeah, which is huge.
Which is huge because he has a $20 million funded PAC with money just sitting there.
20 mil.
Just a cool 20 mil. By the way, just check out a Better Dallas. We don't have $20 million. Like $100 would be nice. So this guy, this is big news because he had been more closely aligned with the Republican Party of Texas. Mm-hmm. Well, after the additional media coverage, after these op-eds, after the news that there's going to be a funded legal defense for these electeds, the SREC voted on what their final report was going to look like. And in the final report, that 41 censure number shrunk down to 3.
Yeah.
And so that's why the word of the day is in part retreat, because those folks greatly retreated on their march to get rid of all of the folks. And so this is actually, the reason that I brought up all of the Paxton stuff is because when they were debating in the Republican Party of Texas and the executive committee, when they were debating and talking and presenting about this censure package, the general counsel for the Republican Party of Texas literally talked about the fact that the need for this death penalty type of punishment was because of the Paxton impeachment. Yeah. So it's sort of like saying the quiet part out loud that, hey, yeah, all of this started because people voted to impeach Paxton.
Right.
And by golly, those darn voters didn't punish them the way we wanted to. So we needed some sort of death penalty because the timeline was you had the Paxton impeachment, then you had the primary. After the primary, you had the state convention. So after voters refused to kick out people that voted to impeach Paxton Paxton's allies within the Republican Party of Texas decided we need a death penalty for these people since the voters aren't doing what we want them to do.
It's a story as old as time. Lindsay Lohan, Mean Girls.
Oh,
You know, it's like they're trying to. They all kept their little laundry list,
the burn book.
the burn book, and then they're trying to, use this of like, oh well, I didn't like, she wore the same outfit as me, so, and censure, like, and the sick part about it is they are trying to punish the voters by keeping people off the ballot because of political maneuvering and things that they don't like down in Austin. And it's like, that's something like really wrong about that. And I'm very happy that it has come to light. And a lot of people, when you tell them the story like that, they don't understand that's like the Republican Party is like a private, it's like they could, if they really wanted to, be like, well, you can't really like run as Republican, like they can't, they will make it hard. They won't endorse you. They won't give you money. You can't show up at their events. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's like, they can make your life hell if they really wanted to. A lot of people don't understand, like the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are private organizations. And if you want to be in their club, like,
Well, it's tricky.
Yes.
So here's why it's tricky. It's tricky because of the Constitution and state law, right? Because the Constitution gives authority to the states to dictate how their elections are going to be conducted.
Yeah.
And the state of Texas has said if you are has the elections code, and part of the elections code does dictate how the political parties have to function. Because I mean, look, the state of Texas does that with businesses, right? We have the business and organizations code. Same thing, the political parties under the elections code. Your chairperson for your county party has to be elected in this way and can take office at this day. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff like that exist. Well, part of it is, what are the qualifications for running for office? And so this is where the fight is, probably legally if it gets there, is the Texas Elections Code does not give the parties any authority to add additional qualifications. You might remember that we had this fight within the Dallas County Republican Party because there were people that wanted to put additional qualifications on who could and could not become a precinct chair. Right, because this is one of the ways, again, that you try to like kind of hold together your own little power and protect
the court,
it.
but in reverse, not letting people in.
Exactly. There are people that wanted to add additional qualifications for what it took to be a precinct chair.
Yeah,
and there just isn't the legal authority to do that because the Texas Elections Code establishes what the qualifications are to run for that position.
Yeah,
and so that's a big fight, right? Because that's the argument, right? The legal argument in favor of keeping people off the Republican ballot is that, hey, we're a private organization. We have the freedom to associate with who we want to, and you can't force us to associate with somebody else.
oh, government overreach.
But here's the problem with that argument. One of the problems with that argument is that the Texas Elections Code actually gives the party two ways to pick its candidates. You can pick your candidates through a primary election, or you can pick your candidates at convention. So the Republican Party of Texas could pick its candidates at the state convention as opposed to having a primary. And the Republican Party of Texas gets to set the rules for its convention. So if you really wanted to exercise your full rights as a private organization and full control over how you want to select, well, then you can select it at convention.
Yeah.
But of course, the Republican Party of Texas doesn't want to do that because that would be insanely unpopular.
It's so rich from the party of like, it doesn't matter who voted, it's who's counting the ballots. But now it's like, it doesn't matter who votes because we're gonna pick who's on the ballot.
Right.
It's like, dang, dude, like it's another level of manipulation. That's crazy.
Well, I will say, so here's the good faith argument on both sides of this. The argument they would make is, well, we're not preventing somebody from running for office.
Right.
We're preventing you from running as a Republican.
Sure.
If you want to run as an independent, you can still run as an independent, or if you want to do something else like that you can. Of course, practically, that's not a tenable solution, but
Not a tenable solution here. Yes.
right.
That's and it's such a like that's not like there's no good faith as that statement made by anybody. It's almost like snarky.
Well, it's one of the things where like, hey, this is having a representative republic, right? I mean, people get to vote. People can choose who they want to represent them, and it may not always be the person you want, the person you would favor. I mean,
Right.
that happens a lot. I can think of a great many deal of elections where who I desperately wanted to win got smoked.
Yes.
Including when I ran for student body president at North Texas all those years ago. I would have stayed for a 5th year at school, but God had other plans.
Just purposely fail so you could do it. You could stay
I
back.
just take a double major. It would have been all right.
Oh, there you go. That'd be
But
better.
so that's another big issue, and I'm going to be really interested to see how the state or the county parties handle this, because, like, for example, Dallas already passed resolutions to censure Morgan Meyer and Angie Chin Button, and they did those relying on acts which the state party has now said it will not recognize as censurable acts. And so it'll be interesting to see if the Republican Party or if Dallas County tries to push through another censure resolution against Angie and Morgan. Resolution
Get it,
pushed
get it,
through.
get it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're coming around. We're gonna start heading in the right direction.
Oh, who's black-pilled now?
Right, exactly. Like I'm trying to. There is positive energy, and I do wake up with positive thoughts. But it's like
I agree.
I feel like it. I feel like maybe it has put a lot of people in these different counties and in Dallas in particular. Like they put their necks out on this thing. They got caught out in the middle of the field with the endorsements from Trump, and then this and then that. And they're like, oh.
Right.
It's like kind of a wake-up call, and it's like, hey, we have more important things to do, like, I don't know, raising $20, or, doing some more trainings or filling out, getting some more precinct chairs or just something rather than just attacking the 2 Republicans that we still have in Dallas County. Like, I don't know, maybe, go for one more Republican, have 3. Right?
Or again, just primary them.
Or
Right, I mean,
just
that's-
primary. If you don't like them that much, just primary them. That's fair.
I am, don't let good be the enemy of great. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to, again, be negative about any of our current elected officials.
No.
But I mean, look, if you really feel like you have a better candidate, then we have a way to do that. It's called the primary.
It's called primary.
Run that person, let them run the race, and let the voters decide who they think the right or the wrong candidate is.
Right.
But I tell you who might deserve some credit for an assist on this are those Democrats that fled the Capitol.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of unity and kumbaya amongst Republican leadership. Abraham George, the head of the RPT, was being very, very supportive of Dustin Burrows for, one of the first times that I could remember in quite a while. But it's because they came together against a common enemy. And I think that's, I don't know, that's my hope, is that maybe that will remind everybody, like, oh,
It's a love story. It's a real Republican love story.
It is.
It's kind
It
of
was 2 star-crossed lovers brought together by redistricting.
wow.
It's kind of romantic,
It is. It truly is. It is romantic. Absolutely.
So you look like you're really interested in something that's happening on your computer right now.
I'm really
Dude,
not.
we got I've got a current event for Kyle's current events.
All right. Let's hear
So-
your Kyle's current event.
Kind of funny. So today, there was an announcement that Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, had a big announcement to make today.
Yes.
Big announcement, big election announcement to make today. And the big announcement that he made today is that he's seeking re-election.
For LT.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
That was his big announcement
Yeah,
today.
that's right. Yeah, you had informed me of that. I mean,
Yeah.
so obviously you were thinking, what did you think that he was going to announce for?
Oh, I thought he was definitely announcing his reelection.
Yeah.
But so I honestly think this goes back to the THC legislation,
Yeah.
because I don't think the THC legislation is going the way that Dan Patrick thought it was going to.
No.
And
Yeah.
I think him now in the middle or at the start of the second session making this big announcement that he's running for lieutenant governor, running for reelection, is a shot across the bow of everybody in the House and in the Senate that y'all are going to have to deal with Dan Patrick in 2 years during the next session. So if you don't want to be on my bad list during the next session, you better do something to get on my good list now. That's my somewhat tinfoil hat
It makes sense to
theory
me.
about why he would,
Yeah.
number one, make it as like a big announcement.
Right.
Because let's be fair, like running for re-election for your seat, I mean,
Duh.
most of the elected officials sent out a press release and an Instagram post
Right.
back at, the start of June saying that they were going to do that.
Right.
For the lieutenant governor, who I think we all assumed was going to be running for re-election,
Yeah. Why would you leave?
unless he retired, would make this as a big announcement, I think is purely as a shot across the bow for everybody.
And the timing.
And the timing.
The timing is like,
Right. Had he done this after the special session, yeah, sure, you're just trying to grab some news, grab some headlines, but like to do it at the start like this of the second special session,
yeah.
I think that it's a wink and a nudge that like if you don't pass my THC bill, I ain't gonna be happy.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think that Dan Patrick has really like solidified the public support for that. I don't think he has 50%,
I agree.
50.1% on that. And it's so funny because like I think that he was actually genuinely surprised by that. Like I
Right.
thought he thought that he was gonna have a Nancy Reagan moment with just saying no, and everyone's like, yeah, and everyone's like, really, dude? Like right now? Are you serious? You're taking all the wind out of our sails. Go to the back of the line.
I mean, I think that, I mean, dude, what Woodstock is 56 years ago.
Right.
I think America has a much different view of marijuana, THC in general, than it did 40 years ago, right? When his feelings on it crystallized. And I think there's a lot of people that are, I mean, there are a lot of people that are in their 60s that are, at the very least pro the THC product type stuff.
Right.
If not full, marijuana. I just think that was a political, I think this is, again, to your point, they didn't have 50%. You know who did have 50% support for his proposal on this? It's Governor Abbott, to just say, hey, regulate it like we do alcohol.
Yeah. I feel like when he did that, he was like really trying to help him out. He's like, like, let me try to help you salvage this, brother. What are you doing right now?
I agree.
Like he's just like, oh boy, that's my boy.
I don't think that you have to really do much thought on that. Like Governor Abbott in his veto talked about the fact that this bill was going to be dead on arrival because it would lose in court.
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, instead of the first piece of legislation that's really passed to regulate this failing miserably in the courts,
Right.
let's pass something that like would work.
Would work and hold
Right.
up. Yeah.
And that most people are like, yeah, that makes, I mean, I have yet to talk to somebody and say, yeah, the governor's plan is to regulate THC the way that we do alcohol. And other than like some truly, truly anti, marijuana, anti THC people, like
Yeah.
almost everybody that I've talked to them has been like, yeah, that sounds like exactly what we should do.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's fine. It doesn't make a difference to me. I get drug tested all the time, and so I will not be able to get high for a really, really, really long time. So, not that I support banning it because I can't have fun.
Right.
I'm not gonna, like take my ball and go home just because I can't have some fun. But if you guys would like to,
I mean, I don't do it because it would make Jesus sad.
What? The burning bush?
It was what was it? What was it? the burning bush didn't smoke. Actually, I don't think the burning bush smoked.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was listening to a Joe Rogan episode, and the guy on there was like, "That was definitely marijuana," and I was like, "Oh, it's good enough for me, dude." That's where I get my education. Is
Well, somebody said it on Joe Rogan.
yeah, so it's got to be true. But dude, that's all I got, man. I'm happy that we're getting back in the groove of things, and do we have another event for Better Dallas coming up?
We do. So if you're watching this and you are not black-pilled, if you have that optimism, you want to be part of a positive solution, this Saturday in Irving at Mercury Studios at 10 a.m. So Saturday, August 23rd, Mercury Studios, I think Building 3 at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
A Better Dallas, the Dallas County Republican Party, and the Irving Republican Women are actually putting on a training. They're putting on a training for new precinct chairs, experienced precinct chairs, or people that just want to know, hey, how can I hit the ground running? How can I make a difference? How can I talk to my neighbors and inform people? Come out. Fantastic trainer as always, Tammy Brown Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
She does everything. She is our vice president of grassroots mobilization for a Better Dallas. Wonderful training. So yeah, this Saturday, August 23rd, 10 a.m. Go to abetterdallas.com/events to RSVP for the training so that the materials can be prepared for you. But that's one great thing. Another exciting thing that we have coming up is on September the 6th in Allen, also at 10 a.m. We have a pickleball event.
Oh yeah.
That is a event that we are sponsoring. It's actually being hosted by the Collin County Young Republicans. You will have the opportunity to play pickleball against at least 2 elected officials. Jeff Leach and Matt Shaheen will both be there playing pickleball. So if you've ever wanted to hit a wiffle ball basically as hard as you can at an elected official and it be legal, this is your time to shine.
This is it.
It's going to be at Chicken and Pickle in Allen. Again, that's on Saturday, September 6th at 10 a.m. If you're a football fan, I am told that there will be lots of TVs with lots of games.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play pickleball, you don't have to. There's other games you can play to entertain yourself, or you can just come and enjoy some community and socialize. But again, and that's also on abetterdallas.com/events. And you can also see it at our friends at the Collin County Young Republicans website. You know, you are a Collin County Young Republican.
I am. I am a Collin
Yeah.
County Young Republican.
Well,
Absolutely.
thanks for pickleball with Matt and Jeff.
I do plan on being there. I have a $4 paddle in my trunk at all times.
Oh.
And so it should be a lot of fun. And I'm just hoping not to get hurt. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I don't have a paddle. I'm also not a Young Republican anymore.
No.
And so I also would worry about getting hurt. But maybe I'll commentate. Maybe
That'd be
I'll just sit there and just throw some snide remarks as people with.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever tried to play pickleball before. The first time I did, I swung and missed. I don't know, half the times I tried to hit that stupid ball, and I used to play tennis. If you're a tennis player, the ball moves entirely differently. Yep. But yeah, good plug, Kyle. Do you have any
Yes.
other plugs that you want to do?
I don't.
Okay. I'll plug this podcast.
Do it.
Yeah. You like, share, subscribe, send it to
Absolutely.
your friends.
Yes.
You can get us on Spotify if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can get us on YouTube. Share with your friends. Let people know we're doing this to inform. Most importantly, help our black-pilled friend Kyle. Put your positive statements in the comments. Give him a reason to live politically.
Look,
Help the guy out. Tell
I'm doing
him your
just fine.
political successes.
I'm doing just fine. I'm happy.
You're wearing a black shirt. You're not shaven. I'm worried about you, Kyle.
Haven't been drinking as much, so that's nice.
Okay, well, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, help give Brother Kyle here a reason to live. Thank you, as always, for watching. We appreciate your support. We hope to see you out. We hope to see you here again another time on A Better Conversation.